Hello everyone. No, this is not a Star Wars video. I was speaking to a gentleman named Aaron on BGG a little while back, and he was asking about the warfare types. He loved the game and wanted a little more information on the warfare types. As you know, there's 6 of them in Dungeon Crusade, and on a whim, I thought of this reference with Star Wars. We have Darth Vader with a red lightsaber. Let's say that both of these characters here on the right, Han Solo and Luke Skywalker, encounter Darth Vader, and only one of them is going to combat Darth Vader. Being a Star Wars fan, who would you select? It would be Luke Skywalker. Why? Because Luke is proficient and versed with a lightsaber. Keep that in mind as we discuss the warfare types in this video and the upcoming videos. Hello everyone. This is Roger with Groovis Games Unlimited, and wow guys, it is so nice to be back with you for our next showcase video. As I move the camera here, we're going to chat about this light, which was a real pain. Man, it is so nice to be back with you and to hang out with you. I really look forward to our time together with this. So first of all, hey, I hope you guys are doing great. I hope you're staying safe, enjoying any games you may be playing right now, maybe learning more about Dungeon Crusade with the other videos. Man, it's just so nice to be back with you. And guys, it has been, as most of you know, off the hook busy for me was on so many fronts. And this video is like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks delayed. I greatly apologize. I really love doing these videos and chatting with you in the comments, so please forgive me for my delay. So listen, before we get into our combat video, and talk about the 2 different combat systems, classic combat, revised combat, minions, and a few other things. We're gonna have fun in this one. I definitely wanna give you some updates. I always wanna keep you, or we wanna keep you, in the loop for what's going on. And I know that was kind of weird at the beginning with the Star Wars reference. Trust me on this, you're gonna see what I'm talking about. I was chatting with someone on BGG, Aaron. Aaron, if you're watching, I hope you're doing good. And I just happened to say this and it really clicked for the combat system. So stay tuned for that. And as I have my notes on this piece of crummy cardboard. So like I said, welcome. It's nice to be back with you and I missed you. Again, this is over the combat systems. And yes, it has been busy. Now let me do this real quick. As you know from that one update, I'm gonna shut the lights off here because of this lamp right here. And we've had this probably 6 years now. My mom gave us this lamp and it had to be hung 6 years ago, and I put it on the back burner and the work I'm going to talk about. But I just want to touch base with you on this. And you remember we were talking about lighting? Now, you know, there's all these different color panels in here, and I think it's not daylight lighting in there. It's some other kind of bulbs that she put in there. But notice the difference when we turn this off. Take a look at this. So you notice how like the dungeon's kind of like, you know, it's not as good as like that. So just because we were talking about the lighting, and I hope that helped you guys with it. But we have our grid lighting on 5500K and all the colors look accurate. Anyway, getting on, if you would have saw, it was 3 years overdue, and a certain little maiden of Witherbrook Forest said, hey, you said you're going to do this. We need help. We have to paint this room and touch it up and get it done. Therefore, we had to rent this huge 10-foot scaffold. You might have saw the pictures I posted or in the video. We had to move all the stuff out, everything off the wall, get way up there, and then this light took forever to hang, and we had to put a swag hook in. But anyway, I just want to let you know, this is one of the reasons, and I just had to pay the time to the family to get that done. And you can kind of tell the maiden of Witherbrook Forest chose this color here, fog. So it was pure white before, so it's kind of gray. It looks really nice in here. It might be hard to see, but you can see the difference there. Anyway, that's done, and I'm glad that that's done. That was a huge project, so just wanted to touch base with you on that one. And then production. I wanted to really start off with this one. If you saw my update video, I would definitely want to keep you in the loop. Let me say first, like I said before, the printing of the game is coming. that, like I said in the update, all of the files, guys, everything, the revised rulebook, the little bit of new content for the game, everything has been with the manufacturer for a few months now. Like, it was with them in summer. Our part is over. The ball has been in their court. They're an amazing company. I love them. We've been together for 10 years now. They have been busy, but I have been politely and respectfully messaging our new, well, not new, she was with us on the first print run, but she rejoined the project like a month ago. Her name is Flora, and I've been messaging her every few days, not being a nag, but just saying, hey, what's going on? We want this thing done ASAP. But I'm respecting what they have going on, guys. They're super busy with other games they're working on, so we're kind of like in line waiting to use kind of like the big print machine, the way that I understand it. But that is coming up, and I just want you to know I'm on it. I want this game done. I want this shipped out because I want to move on, guys. I've been on this for many, many years. As some of you know, we perfected everything. I'm looking forward to working on the two new game modes coming, the random dungeon generator and the quest challenges mode. That mode will be 45 minutes to 2 hours to play a game of Dungeon Crusade. But I'm ready to close the big book on Genesis of Evil for now, because we've been on it for so long, and it's done, and I'm happy with it, and I'm content. So just know I'm on them, not on them, but I'm messaging them, emailing, hey, what's going on? Let's get this done. So I will have more news for you upcoming, but I did want to say that. Sorry this is going a little bit longer, but I definitely wanted to get this out for you. I am definitely anticipating, or we're anticipating, the printing will start in November. It has to. So I will keep you in the loop for that. Pledge Manager. That's a lot of people have been saying. The Pledge Manager will remain open. Okay, so don't worry, you don't got to pledge now, but definitely in November, because the printing is going to have to start in November. We will put out at least a 2-week, 3-week notice letting you know that is going to be closing. And that's why I kept delaying it. I said it's going to close in August and September. We were waiting on the manufacturer. So that's why it was, that's why we kept it open, because there was no sense in closing it, right? But it is going to be closing. And again, I just want this wrapped up ASAP for all of us and get this out so I can move on and work on the smaller game I've been working on based at one location in Avalon. And so I just wanted to touch base with you on that. Don't worry, guys. I'm on it. I'm here to the very end, and we're going to get this done. Sorry, that was a little long-winded, but I did want to say that. Another thing real quick. John over at Critical Fail YouTube channel. There's a link for you. He is just an awesome guy. He's right up there with Daniel from the Dungeon Dive and Justin from Board Game Losers and everyone else. Go subscribe to this guy's channel, not just for Dungeon Crusade, but everything he does. He's amazing. And he just recently did a deluxe unboxing for Dungeon Crusade. It was incredible. So professional, well-spoken. You have to see that. Link in the description. So go over there, subscribe, watch the video. I think you're really going to enjoy that. I was kind of blown away by it, honestly. It's like, you know what? I need to speak like John more. He's just an awesome guy. And John, thank you for what you did for the game. Great work. Okay, and then, real quick. This is going to be a new one for you guys. There's going to be a professional video made for Dungeon Crusade. This really awesome guy, young guy, he's in college, he's an aspiring filmmaker, and he found out about the game and me, and he knew me pretty well and the story. So really flattered by this. It's really all of us though, who made the game, but we are going to be shooting this 30-second promo that we'll of course be using, but also he's using it for his assignment for what he has to do in college. Plus we're going to shoot maybe some origin story stuff, but they're bringing in some seriously professional cameras and editing software. So you're in for a treat. I know I'm really excited for this. We're going to be working on that tomorrow night and over the weekend. And so you will be seeing this, and maybe I'll shoot some behind the scenes so you can see that. So you have that to look forward to. I'm really looking forward to this. In the 30-second spot, We have to say everything that Dungeon Crusade is about: open world dungeon crawl game, Avalon adventure board game, patrol route system, and you guys know me, so I got to do it in 30 seconds. But we're going to have some help with writing, scripting. It's all going to be good. You have that to look forward to. Kickstarter update is coming. I want to chat with our production engineer at the manufacturer so I can, get something out there for you guys. So that is coming. It's probably going to be next week into November. I always like to have them fall on the weeks, weeks in each month, but it's probably going to be, sometime next week. So that is coming. Then lastly, let's get into the combat video. That was a lot to talk about, but guys, I've just been busy. Most of you know I'm over on BGG in the Kickstarter comment section, all over Facebook, chatting with our production engineer, and of course, helping the family as we finally, after years, I put it on the back burner. We got everything painted, spruced up, and a lot of work done around the house, and I needed to do that. Or I would have had to find a new place to live, and I like living here. Okay guys, let's get into the combat video. Sorry that was kind of long, but I did want to just chat with you and let you know what's going on. Okay, so let's start talking about combat. Okay, let me start off by saying this. I would highly recommend, you don't have to, but I would highly recommend checking out the 2 prior videos leading up to this one, especially if you're just jumping into this video. I want to dedicate this to the classic combat system, the revised combat system, how to combat minions and things like that. So I went in depth about the 6 warfare types in Avalon. They're like fighting styles. So hopefully you've watched those 2 prior videos and you'll be up to speed on everything. But even I think if you watch this, we're going to skim over this and you'll pick this up. This is not difficult at all. So I just wanted to say that. Maybe jump, if you haven't seen it, jump and watch those 2 videos, come back, or just hang out here and watch this and then go watch those videos. Whatever you like. Okay, so first of all, let me say this too. We have our warfare dice here and our warfare tokens. For our demo here, we're gonna set the combat up over here in the dungeon, and I think then we're gonna do kind of like a zoomed in view on our battle board. And I think that'll work very nicely. So we'll set it up what's going on in the dungeon, shoot over here, that way I can just get close up in there and show you this stuff, okay? Let's first talk about, before we talk about the combat systems, let's talk about the monsters in the game. Okay, let's just talk about monsters first. There's minions, champion monsters, and guardians, okay? Minions go up to level 3. There's normal versions and there's elite versions. Minions, and here's actually one of our wraiths right here. There's a wraith for you. Minions traverse the dungeon on the patrol route system. Okay, so they just move around the dungeon and they could turn into raiding minions, as we learned in the prior videos, okay? So those are minions. And they go up to level 3, normal and elite. The next type of monsters, and these get progressively harder, are champion monsters. Champion monsters range from level 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are represented, of course, by their cards. Well, let's grab one here. So here is a monstrous spider. And they are represented by the monster tokens, or I call them champion monster tokens. So level 1, level 2, level 3, and finally a level 4. Now, unlike the minions, champion monsters, just put you over here, reside in the chambers of the dungeon, and most of the times, especially for your quests, they are safeguarding the quest items. And as you know, Dungeon Crusade is totally random. Every time you play, you're never going to see the same game twice. In saying that, the monsters will be randomized each game, and the quest items will be randomized. You'll never know, where they will be. Your heroes are going to have to explore the dungeon and find those quest items. So when combat happens in a chamber, we're going to discuss this, champions reside in the chambers of the dungeon. And before we go, just like the minions, there are normal champions and elite champions. And the normal versions of these monsters have the origin stories I wrote for them, and elite versions of monsters have nasty special abilities, okay? Finally, we're gonna move up to the Guardians here, and I'm just gonna grab a card. Guardian has Magnus, the toughest monster, our Guardian in the game. There's 8 unique Guardians. There's no elite Guardians, there's 8 of them, and they go from level 1 and they can ascend up to level 4. Level 4 Guardians are very tough. And like the minions, the Guardians, here's Bane Vakir, another one of our Guardians. Guardians traverse the hallways and corridors of the dungeon. However, they don't leave the dungeon. They stay. Their job is to protect the dungeon and try to kill the heroes. And they make huge movements, as you probably learned in the Showcase series, throughout the dungeon. So they never leave the dungeon. They just patrol the dungeon. So those are the 3 types of monsters in Dungeon Crusade. Okay, before we begin talking about the combat systems, we're just going to skim over this quickly, and this was talked about in depth in those prior videos. I just talked about the 2 of them. Here are the 6 warfare types, and when I created this Land of Avalon, think of these warfare types as fighting styles, like boxing, karate, judo, taekwondo, so on and so forth, okay? So we have physical warfare, swords, red warfare dice. Remember, these are called warfare dice, a D6, D12. Ranged warfare, bows, blue dice. Arcane warfare, staffs, green dice. Mythical warfare, daggers, purple dice. Spiritual warfare, that's maces, scepters, things like that. Orange dice. And finally, chaos warfare, axes, the black dice, okay? Let's take a look over here at Cerbrenus. We're just going to skim over this. Like all of us, the heroes are proficient in a few things. They're not very good in others, in the middle of the road. So we can see that Cerbrenus here excels at physical warfare, and he is pretty good with ranged warfare and okay with spiritual warfare. He's our knight hero. He's middle of the road with arcane warfare, but he is terrible with chaos warfare and terrible with mythical warfare. So I'm not going to pull all the hero cards, but you're going to find, and one of the cool strategies of Dungeon Crusade is rallying heroes, which we're going to talk about, is that, like our rogue Halum, well, she's going to excel at mythical warfare, but she's going to be poor, say, at arcane warfare, so on and so forth for all the heroes. So the fun part about Dungeon Crusade is building like a true party building, putting heroes that go together, that complement each other, and build on each other's weaknesses, okay? So those are the warfare types there on a hero card, and I'm just going to grab our monstrous spider. Every single monster in Dungeon Crusade is versed in 3 of the 6 warfare types. So looking at our monstrous spider here, it's proficient in mythical warfare, chaos warfare, arcane warfare. When you go to battle, this dictates what dice you're going to be rolling, whatever the monster is versed in, okay? Minions are going to be a little bit different. Let me just grab one of those cards. So we have here's a Blackwood Prowler. Minions, of course, are versed in 3 of the 6. So this Blackwood Prowler is versed in arcane warfare, spiritual warfare, and chaos warfare. However, minions are not as proficient as our champions and guardians. They don't use all 3 warfare types in a combat situation. They randomly, with their AI, think of it that way, they select one randomly, okay? So that's the only difference. When your heroes combat a minion, the minion will randomly select one of the 3 warfare types. When your heroes fight a champion monster or a guardian, you will be combating in 3 phases of combat for whatever those 3 warfare types are. Okay? All right, let's move on. Next, I want to touch on this for you. Here's Cerbrenus here. Of course, that's the starting weapon, and each hero has a thing called counterattack. This can be activated in the monster phase, and just like what the name says, your hero can attack back on a monster. That you can activate this, remember channeling. So this never has to really be channeled. You can keep using this, but this gives the hero a chance to attack a monster in the monster phase. So I just went ahead and gave all the heroes their according to the hero, their counterattack, and they all work the same. See all of them? So I bring this up just to make sure you have these out when you start the game. And what I do is I usually just take it and put it underneath the weapon card, just like that, so it's out of sight like that, but you have it under there, okay? So when you play, make sure you get your counterattack cards out for each of the heroes you're going to be using. Okay, and like I just discussed, we are going to start with the revised combat system, but like I just said, remember, you combat minions the exact same way, whether you're playing the classic combat system or using the newly revised combat system. And I would recommend using the revised combat for your first few games and get acclimated to it, then try out the classic one. So, our Star Wars reference, or what I said at the start, this is what I wanted to say, and to me it's like a really important part. So, and you'll get this from what we're going to talk about here. So, those pictures I had, we had Han Solo and Luke Skywalker, and they were going to face off against Darth Vader. He had a lightsaber, right? So in regards to the warfare types, consider this. Let's just say this Orc Siegebreaker was Darth Vader, and he's got a red lightsaber out. So here's Han Solo, here's Luke Skywalker. One of them has to fight Darth Vader. And if you're a Star Wars fan, who are you going to send in to fight Darth Vader? Luke Skywalker. Why? Because he's proficient with a lightsaber. You would not want to put Han Solo against Darth Vader. Do you see my point? So in Dungeon Crusade, that's what I want you to think about. When you're going up against monsters, and that's when the fun part of the game is that strategy and tactics and planning. Look at the warfare types on that monster and kind of think of that Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, Han Solo thing. And I said that to Aaron, and it like totally clicked because he was asking questions about combat. And once I said that, boom, he got it, and I think other people did too. The combat in Dungeon Crusade is abstract, I admit. It's a lot like, I used to play Breath of Fire 1 and 2 on the Super Nintendo, and there's another game called Persona. I love those games. In a way, the combat system is like that, definitely with champion monsters and guardians. So I have some links for Breath of Fire. If you've never seen it, go check that out. And I think even after you see that, you're going to get the combat system. But again, I wanted to do something different and unique for people. Something, left of center, but that was still fun, strategic, and tactical. Okay? All right, I said that. So, thinking back what I said, here we have Zeke, our wizard, and Mahaliak, our barbarian. Think Luke Skywalker, Han Solo. And over here is an Orc Siegebreaker. Think Darth Vader. Let's take a look at this Orc Siegebreaker. And I did want to go in depth with this because I think it'll all fall in place after we discuss this. And remember, you go off this, but minions are going to randomly select one of the 3 warfare types. So we can see our Orc Siegebreaker, and this is a red one, red base. Red and green are elites. They have a special ability. If it's blue, they just have the origin stories I wrote for them. Okay, so this is an elite. We can see this Orc Siegebreaker is versed in physical warfare, chaos warfare, and mythical warfare. Okay, so it's going to randomly select one of those. Now, let's take a look first of all at Zeke. We're going to select a hero. You cannot rally heroes to fight minions. It's a 1 versus 1 battle. So right here, let's take a look at his warfare types, and those 3 in particular. Well, he's got a +1 with the mythical. That's kind of good. He's a little proficient with that. However, he's terrible with chaos warfare. He's going to have to deduct 2 from each chaos warfare roll, and to make it worse, for the red dice, the physical warfare dice, he's going to have to deduct 3 from that. He's not proficient. Okay? We don't really want to fight this Orc Siegebreaker with that. So think Han Solo, Darth Vader. However, let's take a look at Mahaliak, our Luke Skywalker. He's incredibly proficient with chaos warfare. He could add +3 to those rolls. Just like, and also with physical warfare, +2. He can add that to the roll. Finally, he's just middle of the road with mythical. So consider from what we just discussed. One hero has to attack that Orc Siegebreaker. Who are you going to use? Mahaliak. Because there's a better chance that that Orc Siegebreaker is going to select one of those two warfare types, and he'll be able to kill him. And this is one thing I remember, that when the initial everyone got Dungeon Crusade, there were some people who were like, I'm getting my butt kicked by these monsters. And I explained that about the warfare types, and they did much better after that. You know, it's just, yes, I could have put a very simple combat system in where you just roll 1d20 and, you know, there's like a 13 you have to beat. But I wanted to do something different for people and get them thinking and use some strategy and tactics and have fun in the process. Okay, so we're going to select Mahaliak, and let's see how this battle plays out, and I can explain to you exactly the combat system with minions. It's very, very simple, guys. It takes 10 to 15 seconds, but we'll break it down so you know exactly how everything works. Okay, like I said, we're just going to do like a zoomed in view. So just like we were looking at over in the dungeon, we're going to just zoom in on this so we could discuss it better like this. So we've selected Mahaliak, right? So we're going to, this would be on his turn, of course. We're going to generate some movement, and what you do is you roll a d6 and add his base movement. We'll go over that quickly for you. And right there on his hero card, d6 plus 2. Base movement of 2 with the roll of a d6. So we'll just say that he rolled a 3, adding 2, that's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's adjacent. Also, heroes are adjacent if they're diagonal. So, you know, you can attack orthogonally, left and right, up and down, or if he was here, diagonal attacks are permitted. All right, so first thing you're going to do, and we'll just go over this kind of quick and go over it again. This, he's going to attack. So we're going to consult that minion's monster card, and like we said before, physical warfare, chaos warfare, mythical warfare. So this minion right now is thinking, which warfare type am I going to use? So of course, there's chaos warfare, physical warfare, and mythical warfare. All you do is this, you shuffle them up. You can even just use the D3 and assign, you know, 1, 2, 3 and roll a die. I just usually shuffle them, so, and then pull one randomly. So this Orc Siegebreaker has selected mythical. Now if we look at Mahaliak's card down there, for mythical, it's 0. So he's not proficient in this. He's just middle of the road. So it's going to be a straight roll with the warfare dice and the final strike die. So let's first of all get our mythical warfare dice. Okay, there's that. And then this was part of the revision we did with combating minions, and it just works so nicely with this. The D20 is known as the final strike die when you're in combat with a minion. Simply put is this, you're going to roll all these dice together, okay? What a hero has to do is meet or exceed that value. So we can see on Mythical Warfare, that's a 10. As long as Mahaliak rolls a 10 or higher, he scores 1 hit. How much damage does he do? He's equipped with his starting weapon, Primordial Axe. It does 1 damage. And I'm just going to say all this now, and then when we get into Champions and Guardians, you're already going to know this. So he's going to declare, well, this is the only weapon he has right now, but he's going to attack, of course, with his Primordial Axe, and if he lands a hit, you know, the 10 or higher, he will score 1 damage, okay? That's how that works. Lastly, remember, we're going to roll the final strike die. Know this, and I know it's in the revised rulebook, the final strike die is not considered a warfare roll. This is a warfare roll. This is just a final strike. And for the new monsters that'll be in the expansion, I'm coming up with some very awesome and creative things where the monsters might be able to affect the final strike. So there is stuff coming, tons and tons of new monsters in the expansion. So there's going to be things referring to the final strike. So what you do is, after we're going to do the combat in a moment, the warfare roll, when you roll them all together, that's like the initial hit where the two combatants are going at it, okay? picture the final strike roll, or when you process it, it's like the combatants are just about to pull away and they both go for one more hit. That's simply what it is. So it's a chance for either one to land a hit on the other. So you can already see some great ideas that will be coming, where the monster might have a special ability for final strike, or the heroes might have something, a new special ability that will affect the final strike. So that's why I wanted to differentiate between a warfare roll and a final strike, okay? So let's just go ahead and do a combat, and we're gonna reverse everything and just go through it real peppy, okay? So they're going to attack. We have our final strike die, we have our warfare dice. Remember, Mahaliak needs to score a 10 or higher to land a hit on the final strike die or the warfare dice. If he gets a 9 or lower, notice the 1, that means the Orc Siegebreaker is going to put 1 damage on Mahaliak. You see how that works? It's not hard at all, guys. And it has 2 health. So hopefully, Mahaliak can land a hit with the warfare dice. He'll do 1 damage for successfully hitting him with the warfare dice. And if he hits with the final strike, that's another 1 damage, 2 damage, and the Orc Siegebreaker will be dead. So let's see how Mahaliak does. So picture the 2 are going at it. The dice are rolled. And I think he just did it. Is that a 9? Yep, a 9. He just made it. So that's a 9 and a 2. That's 11. So I don't have my, pardon me, get my damage markers out. Forgive me, I meant to pull those earlier for you. Okay, so remember, you process the warfare roll first, and he did, in case you've never seen them, those are our damage markers. So he's put 1 damage on the Orc Siegebreaker. But remember, now we're gonna have to process the final strike die, and luckily, it's an 11. So remember, the final strike, they were just about to pull away and they went at it one more time. Boom, Mahaliak hits him again. And remember, all he had to get was a 10 or higher. He puts another damage on the Orc Siegebreaker and slays the Orc Siegebreaker because it had only 2 health. And that's simply, guys, how that works. We're gonna rewind everything and just do it really quick. But the nice thing is, with how minions are now with the combat, you could honestly load the dungeon up with 10, 15 minions because combat is very, very quick. But before we go on, we're going to talk about this since we're talking about, the combat system. It's the loot and gold roll. So we're going to discuss that in a moment. Let me set this aside. But hopefully you saw how that works. And there's another thing, a critical strike, but we'll get to that in a moment. And this is very easy. After your hero kills a monster, it's known as the loot and gold roll. Notice that this chest has a 20, and this over here, this gold coin that says 100 has a 20. What it is that's the probability that this monster was carrying anything of value. I'm going to tell you now, minions are your trash mobs. They're more than likely not going to be carrying everything, but it's always exciting to possibly, if your hero gets a 20, and you go reach from the loot deck, we're going to get to that, and you pull out like a legendary item, like that minion was actually carrying a legendary weapon or a piece of gear. So you make 1 roll, so it says 20 and 20, so we have to just try, or Mahaliak has to try to get 20 on the d20. That means that minion was carrying something of value. And no, that's very close though, 19. However, let's say that it was carrying, that was a 20. What that means is the treasure chest, that stands for the loot deck. You get to draw 1 card from the top of the loot deck. Also, since it was 20, it was carrying 100 gold. See guys, it's that simple. That's exactly how that works. Okay, let's talk about a critical strike. Well, actually, no, let's rewind this. We're going to go quick and you'll see how fast combat is, okay? So let me reset everything. Okay guys, I'm just gonna act like if I was doing a playthrough, and this is how quick combat is. We're gonna again say Mahelic rolled a 3, base movement of 2, that's a 1, 2, 3, 4. There, he's going to attack. Minion has, you would consult its card, versed in physical warfare, mythical, chaos. Give them a quick shuffle, pull one at random, and it is, again, mythical warfare. What are we gonna do? We're gonna get our mythical warfare dice. We're gonna get our final strike roll. We know we have to get a 10 or higher. And here goes the first hit. So picture it's like a 1-2 kind of hit. That's a 1, that's a 4. Nope. What? And then a 12 final strike. So again, looking at the Orc Siegebreaker, that was a 10. Nope. Mahelic missed. The Orc Siegebreaker hit him. We're going to have to deduct 1 off his hero card, so he's down to 11 health. However, remember, final strike, they're pulling away. Mahelic did hit with a 13. He is able to put a damage on that Orc Siegebreaker. That would be it. Combat is over. And how do you like that? Very, very simple. So his turn would be over. Now consider this. Let's bring Zeke back in. Remember we had Zeke over here? Maybe he was watching what was going on, and it was his turn. Let's do this real quick since I just kind of thought of this. Let's say that Zeke had the next initiative token. Okay, so Zeke also rolled a 3. He has a base movement of 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this is a gamble because, you know, he's versed in mythical warfare, and he has a +1 to mythical warfare, but he's terrible with chaos and physical warfare. So this would be, I would not probably do this in a game, but sometimes I do to take the odds. So you can already see that the odds are stacked against Zeke for this. So let's just grab one. Hopefully it's mythical. I'm actually glad I did this so you can see what will happen. Nope, physical warfare. So he's going to have to get the red warfare dice, the final strike die. And let's consult the Orc Siegebreaker's card. Okay, that's going to be an 11. Looking at Zeke's, let's take a look at his physical warfare. Oh, that's bad. That's a 3. So that means whatever he rolls on each die, though, this is going to affect even the final strike. I'm glad I actually brought this up. You add or subtract also from the final strike. So this wasn't really wise to do. And you can see now why, if you don't understand the combat system in Dungeon Crusade, how you can do bad. And it makes sense. Your hero is not proficient in this, and the minion can do some damage to them. So I'm actually really glad we did this, because it really, I think you learned a lot just from this. But let's see what happens with Zeke, and he's going to use his, he's going to declare his oak staff. And remember, you can use any weapon. It doesn't matter what the warfare type is. You just want the damage, and maybe there is a buff that, you know, like this could have been, there's tons of like swords in the game. So you could give Zeke a sword that has a +2 to physical warfare, and you could add that to the dice. But as it is, he's going to use his oak staff, so he could do 1 damage, hopefully. So let's roll and see how the battle goes. And actually he did really good. Okay, so we have a 3 and 11, so that's 14. But remember, he's not proficient. You know, he's not good at using physical warfare against that Orc Siegebreaker. He's going to have to -3. So basically, we're just going to take that away. He still scored an 11. Luckily, that's just enough. As long as you score that number above, you land a damage. Now let me show you, and actually this will lead right into a critical strike. That Orc Siegebreaker is dead, and we're going to do a loot and gold roll. And I'm actually very glad this came up. Let's just say that our Wraith was right here, okay, just for this demo. Well, consulting this right here, 16, even minusing 3 would be a 13. That is 1 damage that Zeke still has like unaccounted for, okay? That has to be applied somewhere, and this is what's the nice thing is. So let's say that like or think of it thematically. With that 1 damage, you can choose a direction, and that damage can be applied to another monster or a minion, or a guardian or minion. In this case, if it were, like this, the Wraith was right here. The hero is permitted to put that damage on there. He scored it, so now he can apply it where he sees fit. But you can't go, like, let's say there was another damage, like put it on the Wraith, and let's say there was a monster like over here or even there. You have to keep going in that direction to use up that extra damage. So that 1 damage that he used, because the Orc Siege Breaker is dead, he can put this on the Wraith, and he has also put 1 damage on there. That's, guys, simply how a critical strike works, and hopefully you followed all that. It's super easy. That right there is everything you need to know about how to combat a minion. We are going to talk about Counter-Strike real quick, and then we're going to move on to the revised combat system, but I hope that you enjoyed learning about this. But if you have any questions, let me know. But that's as easy as that is. So that's what a critical strike is. Critical strike, if you have extra damage after you've killed a monster, you can award that damage to another monster if it is adjacent. Okay? All right, let me reset everything and let's talk about Counter-Strike.